I'm sure you're a nice person, and whenever there is somebody that's in need, you could be a person willing to help. And if you see somebody begging on the street, somebody needing some assistance, you will help them if you can. But there is one condition: you will help them as long as it doesn't hurt you. This is why when we see people on the side of the street, we reach in our pocket, we give them some spare change, spare coins, because we can give them that without it hurting too much. Now, if somebody came and said, hey, listen, let me have the keys of your car, let me have your American Express card, you would tell them politely to F off, because that hurts you. And this is kind of how politics are in rich countries. In rich countries where there's a lot of development and a lot of opportunities, you have people who want to give on the behalf of the government. People want illegal aliens, migrants, spending, all kinds of things, because to them, it doesn't really hurt them. They don't really see the benefit on the society until it does. And that's when the rubber meets the road. What I just explained was the outcome of the 2024 election. In 2020, when Joe Biden wanted to open the border, most people didn't really care about that because, hey, it doesn't affect me. And then it affected them. It affected their bottom line. People in New York City and Chicago and certain parts of Ohio saw things changing in their cities. They saw people getting things that they should be getting. And then it made them think, wait a minute, what about me? What about my needs? What about my desires? When we start seeing migrants commit crimes and even in some cases kill people, people started to think about, wait a minute, what about my kids? What about my safety? And this is no different than mayors, because Eric Adams, who is a liberal in one of the most liberal states in America, was trying his best to hide his frustration with the migrant crisis, even though he said that, hey, the migrant crisis will destroy New York City. He tried to go along with it by trying to offer some interesting solutions.
You know what else I discovered at that when I spoke with them? Some of them were engineers. Some of them were mechanics. They were professionals. And they only wanted one thing. They said, we want to work. We want to work. What is more anti-American than coming to America and you can't work?
But all that changed when Eric Adams got indicted. And all is bad. As you know, Eric Adams blamed the people in his own political party. He said, listen, I was critical of you guys. Now you're trying to ruin me. And Donald Trump spoke up on his behalf before he won the election, saying, hey, listen, they're giving Eric Adams a hard time. This guy didn't do anything. But once the presidency was won, Donald Trump gave Eric Adams a call. And what was talked about, we don't know. But we do know that Donald Trump has pledged to do this.
Here's all we're going to do. It's going to be called a Trump mass deportation, because we have no choice. Vote Republican and we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history.
Eric Adams recently was at like a mayor's questioning, and somebody came and asked him about the mass deportation. And I want you to see how he handled this particular person.
Two questions. First, you've predicted that mass deportations won't happen in New York City.
You said, I'm sorry.
You have predicted that mass deportations won't happen in New York City.
I predicted that?
Yes, you've said that they won't happen here.
Okay, I don't know about predicting, but go ahead.
Well, do you think that they will happen here?
We're going to do everything possible to make sure that people are treated in a dignity and humane way that we've done for these last few years.
Okay, so then my question is, how can migrant New Yorkers be sure that they won't happen here, given that ICE can make arrests in New York City without police cooperation? And then the second question is, why should New Yorkers, including migrant New Yorkers, trust that you will advocate for them with the new Trump administration, given that you have a personal stake in winning the president's favor? Okay,
a couple of things. Do you think every New Yorker believes there should not or should be mass deportation? Do you believe every New Yorker believes that?
No, but you have said you don't think there should be.
Yeah, but you said, how can I advocate for New Yorkers? So I should only advocate for one type of New Yorker or all New Yorkers?
Well, that's tough. I don't think you can advocate for all New Yorkers.
Oh, really? Okay, so which New Yorker I shouldn't advocate for? The ones that agree with you or disagree with you?
Well, if you believe there should be no mass deportations, how can people believe that you will advocate for that with the incoming Trump administration?
But you set up a question. This is very interesting, the question you set up. So there's certain New Yorkers I shouldn't advocate for?
I'm not sure that was my question. My question was, why should New Yorkers trust that you will advocate for them with the administration?
Let's go back again. There's some New Yorkers, there are people who stop me on the street and says, I voted for the president and I believe there should be mass deportation. There are people stop me on the street and say, I believe it shouldn't be mass deportation. So what one needs to do is have the ability to sit people in the room and come up with real solutions. That's what I've been doing for 3 years. And so for you to state I'm trying to cover someone's favor, when this is what I've been talking about since the beginning of my administration, that we've been in this problem, and even prior to that, I've been an advocate to deal with immigration issues. So this is not about trying to get anyone favor. This is about making sure we treat this city and the residents of this city in a humane way, and that I listen to both sides. That's the difference between being a mayor and someone who could just give opinions. I got to listen to all New Yorkers.
Now, he seemed to be very frustrated in a professional way, but very frustrated. Obviously, this is a lady who wants to protect the rights of these migrants. She's even calling them New York migrants, when that's not the case. A New Yorker is somebody that has citizenship and lives and is from or born from New York. A migrant can't be a New Yorker. But do you hear his tonality? He's saying, listen, even though I might have said it in the past, and his position, I believe, has changed, I have to sit back and listen to what all New Yorkers want. And we already know what Donald Trump wants. And I believe that Eric Adams wants what Donald Trump wants. Do you want to know why? Because Eric Adams has been set up to fail. This is something that we got to understand. He might want to help the migrants. He might want to help people stay together as families. But he doesn't want to lose his job. And see, when it comes time for the next election, New Yorkers are not going to vote for somebody who wants to protect migrants. I can guarantee you that. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Whoever is the candidate that says, listen, I want the migrant crisis out of New York City. I want New Yorkers to be able to have all of the funding here. I want to reduce migrant crime. I want to reduce migrant prostitution. That person's going to win. Why? Because it doesn't matter if I'm Democrat or Republican when I have needs and those needs are not being met, and I'm coming outside of my apartment in Queens or my home in Queens and there's brothels everywhere, or there's illegal migrants committing crimes everywhere, or there's just a lot of people with trash everywhere. I just can't deal with that. I need my needs met. My kids need to not go to school where the school board system is overrun. And I need a system in which my tax dollars benefit me. I'm tired of helping everybody else. I want to help myself. And you guys feel the same way when you have friends or family members and people like that. You would love to help them, but you don't want to help them to the point where you can't help yourself. And right now, New York City cannot help themselves. And if Donald Trump comes in with the Border Patrol and all of his people and ICE and get those people out of New York City, it's going to do nothing but make Eric Adams look like a genius. And it will almost secure his second bid for a mayor in the greatest city in America, which is New York City. He has to agree with Donald Trump. He doesn't have a choice. And both of these guys are on the same team. Now, let's also put it into perspective. It was asked about Eric Adams' particular situation with his federal indictment, in which obviously he's not going to respond to that. But she was saying, hey, listen, do you believe that Donald Trump can give you a favor? He can help you with your federal indictment and all of this. Is that why you might deport the people? Well, again, if that's the case, what would you do? If you had a federal indictment and you had a president who's willing to help you, if you're willing to do X, Y, and Z, would you say no and go to jail and go to prison? Or would you do what Donald Trump was asking you to do and deport the people and then become president again. Now remember, Eric Adams used to be a Republican. He's disgruntled with the Democratic Party. Could we see Eric Adams return back to Team Red? It's very possible. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of Fair Use. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.